Hello and welcome to another episode of Killer Ant Reviews. Today I'm actually going to be reviewing something a bit different compared to what I reviewed before. Normally I usually review sci-fi or fantasy novels, but this time I'm actually doing something completely different. I am reviewing The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Um, this was actually given to me by a coworker for Christmas a couple years ago, and I finally got around to actually reviewing it. So this was actually written by Heather Morris, and it's claimed to be a true story. Um, though I have found some other experts who claim that it was an inaccurate representation of Auschwitz, and some say it might be fictional. The author says 95% of it is true. I really don't know, but I really don't know. I did a little bit of research on it, but overall, the book is it's definitely a powerful book. It definitely shows the horror of the concentration camp, and it also provides a rather effective love story too. Um, so the whole the whole plot is a guy named Lyle. He actually goes to a concentration camp and he becomes a tattooist. So basically, when prisoners, Jews, gypsies come in, he has to go and tattoo them with the numbers. And there he meets a variety of people. Some he's able to save. Others, like a few others, actually end up dying because they're saving him. And on top of that, he also meets one of the guards who kind of befriends him, as I say, quote unquote befriend, because the guard was also a huge jerk and was a bloodthirsty murderer. But he also goes ahead and meets another girl called Gita, which they basically have a relationship while trying to also keep it a secret, and he's also like smuggling like food and stuff to the other prisoners. And overall, with most modern like books, I'm never really a huge fan of covers. This cover is actually pretty good. Shows the backside of him while looking into Auschwitz, even though it's a little foggy. The book itself isn't too long. It's just over 200 pages. Um, this is a kind of a hard book to talk about because I've actually read a bunch of like books based on survivors' accounts of the Holocaust, and they are definitely very difficult. They're very disturbing. I can't really call it like entertaining just because the subject matter. It's informative. It shows the horrors of it. Overall, compared to the other ones, this is effective in showing the horrors. While it's not the best, well, I do recommend like books like Elie Wiesel's Night, which definitely shows like the more of the horror. This one shows a lot of the romance. My one big criticism is I do feel like there was some like fictional stuff happening in Auschwitz. Well, I can't really put my finger on it. Some of it is a little bit different than Elie Wiesel's Night of how to describe it, and that's what some of the historical people complain about this book. But overall, it's an effective love story. You actually get to like the main characters, and it's definitely effective in making you really hate the Nazis, which I'm okay with because I hate Nazis. So this one's definitely hard to talk about. Overall, would I recommend this book? If you're looking for something completely different, I would I would recommend it. If anything, if you're a good fan of romance, definitely recommend, because this is a completely different book. It's not like the other romance novels. I never really read them. But it's not like, oh yeah, man falls in love with this woman, blah 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 blah. This one has like a historical event that is that keeps it like being completely different. What would I actually rate this novel? 8.5. Like I said, it's a little hard to talk about just because of the subject matter. But overall, it is very effective. As someone who loves sci-fi fantasy, this is something completely different. But this is also like a subject matter that I read a lot in high school. I did a lot of reports on the Holocaust, and it's definitely something that like kids should definitely learn, because if they don't learn about this, I don't want this event to happen again and again and again. This is something that I rather never happen again, and unfortunately, with world events unfolding, it definitely seems like it's happening again, and I rather not have this happen. That's why I always like recommend like people read into these historical events, because if you do not learn from history, this stuff will keep happening. So, until next time, this is Ant.